So welcome everyone. Welcome to our TED Talks, our monthly talks with teachers from around the globe who share what they do when it comes to technology. And we are very grateful to them for presenting. And you're also welcome to present next year. We're booked up until February, but you're welcome to join us. Our presenter is coming to us from the United States. I think you're based in the United States right now. Am I
Yes,
correct?
yes, I'm based in the United States.
And she teaches in the United States. Would you like to introduce yourself?
So my name is Dr. Jasmin Cowin, and one second. So let me just share the screen.
Oh, great.
Okay.
And thank you everyone for joining us. Stay tuned because if you stay to the end, you will qualify for a free certificate with the duration of the talk.
I don't know how you do it all. Start from the beginning. There we go. So my name is Dr. Jasmin Cowin. I'm an associate professor and the Seattle Faculty Fellow for Touro University Graduate School of Education. I am also a U.S. Department of State English Language Specialist, and there will be a press announcement later today because I am going to be a Rockefeller Institute of Governance fellow with a research agenda that centers around AI. So I'm going to be talking today about skills-based virtual reality language teaching, and I'm going to take Agora World as an example. Agora is a word for the ancient Greek city centers, which doubled as a marketplace and a central place of assembly for citizens. Democracy was established at the Agora, which also served as a venue for academic discussions and a gathering place for the public to learn, exchange ideas, and mingle. And I think that's such an apt name to use technology and see what we can do. So immersive language environments allow students to engage themselves in real life situations, experiencing language learning in a more interactive and engaging way. And when we use something like Agora World, and I'm using Agora World as an example, we can explore more than just language. We also can work with our students on real-time exchanges. And I will get to that in a little bit. Because what we need to think about is in the age of ChatGPT, which we all know our students use, how can we ensure that, especially if we do distance teaching, how can we ensure that what they're doing is their output? And working with things like Agora World will help us because not only can we create places for them to go into, they can create places that we can go into, showcasing what they can do. And when they do that, they have to read, they have to follow instructions, they have to be detail oriented, they have to upload assets, and then they have to host people inside the environments. So I'm going to be looking for 1 second. Can you see this? Is it big enough? So I'm looking right now at learning dispositions or habits of mind. This is something that I created, which refer to the way in which learners engage in and relate to the learning process. And what do we have? Well, first they need a sense of belonging and taking an interest through participation and contributions. And spaces like Agora World can create this. Then we want to have them create some sort of self-management while creating or coming into a virtual environment. You have that exploration, persisting through uncertainty and challenges. And I can tell you, we all, when we work with technology, have uncertainty and challenges, and we explore despite all of the challenges. Then we have communication, expressing ideas and feelings through language, symbols and text. Confidence, believing in oneself's power and abilities. And I can tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than when you go and you do something that you have never done before, and you see your own little world that you constructed, and people come in and you guide them through it, and you start chatting with people through your avatar. That feels very accomplished, and it is. Problem solving and questioning, recognizing discrepancies, and looking into, why didn't this work? So from your point of view as an educator, if you create a virtual world, just logging in can be an amazing thing for students to do. But when they then turn around and they are doing something where other people log in, that is a real problem solving challenge. Motivation and flexibility, embarking on new learning and experiences, and metacognition, and that is examining one's thoughts, thinking about thinking, which is the highest way of looking at learning, understanding how you learn. The origins of metaverse, in case you are not familiar with, there was a novel, a science fiction, with Neil Stephenson, and in 1992, a cyberpunk novel called Snow Crash, and he presented a 3D virtual world in which people represented as avatars could interact with each other and artificially intelligent agents. I love science fiction a lot. So Mark Zuckerberg in 21 said, you can think about the metaverse as an embodied internet where instead of just viewing content, you are in it. So that kind of captures it. So now I'm going to try to see if you can see this little onboarding video. So we're going to do first a slideshow and a couple of little videos, and the idea of what you can do in it. And then I will actually go into into Agora World and show you what you would see when you start creating. Can you see the screen? Can you see this video?
The screen is seen, but the video is not played yet.
Okay, so stop share. Then I have to share. 1 second. Where is that? Now?
Now it will, if you just please.
Yes.
Yeah, it's showing now.
So as you see, like, what you get is you get basically, when they do Agora World, you get templates, right?
Calculus is hard because it is different. It introduces completely new concepts, such as the limit, the derivative, and the integral. These are novel concepts that appear completely unintuitive and hard to grasp. When students don't understand the concepts, their applications are next to impossible.
I think the next video on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. It's on
Okay,
YouTube.
yeah, all right.
Concepts that are fundamental to its
Can you
foundation.
share the link though, so we'll be able to watch it later?
Okay.
maybe?
I believe
Now we lost your voice. Don't worry. You need to unmute.
everything we know about
I have
math,
too many tabs
try to learn
open. I
concepts
have
in
to
a whole
find
new
it.
way. So
There we go. I have 5 different browsers open to make this work. So let's continue with the presentation. And as you know, when you work with everything open, it becomes very difficult. Okay, share. All right, let's go to the next slide. So when you take a look, when you go in, and we will be going into Agora World, you will have a whole bunch of what they call free templates available to you. And so you can do poster sessions, you can do learning centers, you could simulate a career fair, you can do an art gallery. They also have Philadelphia downtown, and I'll talk about that because you can go and try out vocabulary and directions with students where you can do a quest. So you can do basically gallery walks for learners. You can support spatial orientation. You can try application of language for specific purposes, such as vocabulary related to asking and giving personal information, talking about places and buildings in cities, and asking for directions. So how does this look like? So when you go in, you would see these custom slots, right? So you get a map of what the world will look like in flat. And then you put slides in there. And these slides will then show up where you put them in, right? What we saw in the little movie in the beginning. And one way of language learning is by first-person experiences that support the development of observational skills. So when they go in, right, and you say, so I want you to find X, Y, and Z. These are the posters that I want you to find. And I want you to go with a group of people, and you can divide your students and they can walk independently in groups across this art gallery, right? They are no longer being static, but they are able to explore and talk. And because of the way that the Agora World voice works, they can talk to each other without filling up the whole room with sound. So we are hoping eventually that there will be scale in terms of metaverses, but Dr. Deutsch is much better on this because she's certainly the maestra of these metaverses and Second Life. There will be eventually an interoperability. It will be persistent and consistent, and there will be a lot of social interactions. So let's take for use cases for teaching and language acquisition. So gallery walks will allow students to practice purposeful conversations and make interconnections between language, concepts, vocabulary, grammar, and idioms. But remember, not only can we create a metaverse for our students and the gallery walk, our students at the end of a school year or at the end of a semester can create their own gallery and put up their work and then invite us to their gallery. And now they are being the gallery host. Then quests, which can have themes drawn from genres of fiction, literary devices, topics, or real-world scenarios. And Nelly, Dr. Deutsch always has done a great job. She used to do wiki quests, which were amazing. But quests give students the chance to carry out a task or solve a problem together. And so when we when we solve a problem together, you know, that is a much more interactive experience than just filling out a worksheet. And student-built worlds through Agora World templates enable learners to build not only their own exhibits, but they also can create stories and final media boards to demonstrate the language concepts learned, showcasing learning for portfolios and assessments. So when we talk to students, we say, you know, we want you to look and showcase what your family or your culture. So they can actually build a little world where they can embed little videos and family photos into this and then host us. So assessment possibilities, you know, vocabulary and grammar assessment, pronunciation, listening, and comprehension assessment. And one of the things with listening is that because in Agora World, the mouths of the avatars don't work, right? So you don't have the visual of when I look at someone and they speak to me. And so listening becomes a much more intentional space because you are actually listening to the voice and trying to decode that. And I will be going into the screen pal in a minute. So I would like to always look at using Agora World for not only student education, but also for teacher education. So now I'm going to try to switch to Screen Pal. So I'm going to stop share, open Screen Pal, and then do share. Okay. Open link. Any questions so far? Any questions so far by anybody while I sign in? All right. Here we go.
In the spirit of speaking about metaverses and teaching within.
All right. So share. There we go. Share the screen.
Metaverses, I created a small metaverse as a demonstration of
Can you
what
hear?
might happen in a metaverse for education.
Yes, it's audible.
We are here in a metaverse template, and I created a gallery walk where we are going to go to, and where there are now avatars, student avatars. Our students could be walking towards the gallery walk. They can form groups, avatar groups. They can be grouped depending on knowledge or whatever interest level they have. This is the simplest way that I can demonstrate what the metaverse might be used for as a very simple exploration. You might be able to do presentations, and students can be sent off to work on groups in these presentations. These presentations can be interactive. This means that students could be tasked, for example, to do a quest, and instead of pictures, one could have links for explorations. Obviously, the professor or educator would have to pre-prepare these spaces. So what you saw currently during my presentation here would be in an interactive space. One can invite students, they materialize and teleport into the metaverse, and they can then truly explore on their own. And it has this particular metaverse has the opportunity to actually click on the links that one embeds and therefore becomes much more interactive. Obviously, the attractiveness of this is that instead of the professor becoming the presenter and transfer of knowledge, the knowledge is offered, available. Students can enter pre-designed spaces, and these pre-designed spaces are available 24/7. In addition, students can create presentations in these spaces and meet in groups apart from their seminars or scheduled classes. So this is just a small way of showing what this might look like when used for teaching purposes. Obviously, there are other opportunities with 3D manipulations, which are too complicated for me to set up for such a lecture.
Okay. So before we go into the metaverse itself, into Agora World, I want to conclude this another idea that students can do something that I call interactive fiction. They can do story writing by enacting their own little stories, which is that's a very fun thing to do in an environment like this, because you're creating the environment and then you are writing a story to go with it. So in the end, I have a couple of resources that I will share with Nelly after the conclusion of this. So now I want to go directly and show you what you would see when you go in, so that you can see what it would be. So now I have so many things open. I'm going to go first to this one. All right. Share the screen. There we go. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay. So first and foremost, you have to go to the Agora World documentation site and help center, and then to take a look at what it is that you can do. So they have getting started, troubleshooting, no code creators. This I don't do because I don't do that. So that would be more for Nelly to do. All right. And they have community meetups, and you can send them an email. So that is one of the ways of getting to start. So now let's go to the website. Share screen, website. There we go. All right, can we see the website? Good. So obviously, you will need to create some sort of account, okay? So when you come in, the first thing that you're going to see is this. And it shows you can build with no code, build with Unity. As I said, I don't do Unity. And you have your start for free button. But let's just take a look at what's here, all right? So you have 3D creation tools and such. I haven't gotten quite that quite that advanced. But basically, what they will offer you is they offer you a whole bunch of templates. And these templates are for free, okay? And you can go into these templates and start exploring and putting them together. So I'm going to log in. And then you can download the world, which you need 700 megabytes in order for that to work. And I'm going to stop share for my login. Sorry, I'm not sharing passwords with you, but you know. Now you get 3 free worlds for the as a free user. So I'm going to share. And so what do we see here? So we have a whole bunch of places to take a look at. And there's home, discover, create, projects, library, and a marketplace. Marketplace, it's like it's a little bit like in Second Life, you can buy assets. So when you go to the library, those are the free templates. That's a library that Agora did for you in order for you not to have to build anything, right? So this one doesn't look quite right today, but this one is the world where I did that little gallery. So now we are doing now we are in the world, right? And now all of these items that you see here, this is the central gathering place. This is where all of your students, were they to transport in, they would end up here. This is the central gathering place. And anything that you see here would be a slot that you could personalize for your students so that when you click on it, that something would happen here. So what you have here obviously is you have your central gathering place, and you could have given your students directions to go to certain places because there are multiple places to go to in this. One is this art gallery that we already visited in my little movie. And one is this big building. So now you have to walk forward. It's the usual walking thing. And then theoretically, you should have built something in here as your students enter, right? But this could be the quest part. And then here you would build your world. Here you would place your assets. So, and you would be able to give your students directions. You know, this is what you need to do. You need to go forward. You need to turn right. You're going to look for the gray building. You're going to go inside. You're going to find X, Y, and Z. So these are directions that you can either do in writing, or you could do them by speaking while they go in, or they could be posted on that large screen that we saw in the front. And this is half an hour into it. And if you want to see another world, let me know. Otherwise, I would say I'm open to questions.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I love Agora. I think Agora has, I don't know, it's beautiful. Unlike Special, which I also use, but I think Agora, the colors and everything, and the feel of it is absolutely amazing. I wanted to ask you about assets. You mentioned assets. I guess with the free version, we would be limited. Can students add their assets as well?
Well,
to
so
your
for me,
world?
well, so when you have this template, right, and I showed you, like, you know, it has these slots that you can put in. So one of the things that the way to do this is you're not using Agora's assets, you're using your own. So you can upload, let's say that you say, build a history of your family, or build a family tree, or build a special presentation on your country's holidays, or natural parks, or whatever it is that you want your students to do. They would collect those pictures and items in a folder, and then they load them up into these slots in Agora World. And then they materialize. See, you don't have to place them because they're placed by their program in the appropriate spot. I cannot tell you, when people tell me, oh, it's so easy, you can just place your asset on the wall. Well, I'll tell you what, I am not a computer specialist. When I had to do that, my stuff always, it was standing in the middle of the room, half sunken into a wall. It never was where it was supposed to be. It was too hard. This way, I put it in the slot, I upload it in the slot, and I give it a name, maybe like I say Apollo, that was my dog. Okay, then I know in that slot, I put a picture of Apollo, right? And then when I go into, and then I say save, and when I go into the room, by magic, it's right there on the wall. No further work is necessary. That's exactly how I did those pieces of for the gallery walk, for that little gallery. That's how I did it. Nothing more.
So it's much easier than special, because with special you have to move it, you have to resize it, and
no.
changes.
That was the hope. That so let me show you one more time. Okay, let me show you one more time. There.
Okay. Everyone, you can unmute yourselves and ask questions. You can also, I think.
So this is what I mean. Like, you have this, and then when you click on it, on number one, you know, it will show you can upload either a link or you can upload a photo, right? So I always upload photos and links. I don't videos. It depends if I want that. For the videos, the thing is, you have to make sure that it always goes in, you know, that unlike what just happened, that no other videos play right afterwards, because it's very confusing for students if it's on an auto loop. But anyway, so you put, so students, this could be, you know, this could be Lima, Peru, you know, a map of Lima, Peru, the best hotels of Lima, Peru, favorite restaurants, favorite food, you know, and then, you know, you close it up, and all of those things are now positioned correctly on the wall. Okay.
So again, students can do the same thing in your world. They have rights.
No, they cannot do it in my world. They have to create their own world.
Oh, okay. That's what I was asking. If
yeah, they have to
do it in a collaborative world, and if your world can become collaborative.
That we are not quite there yet. I'm sure that Ethan Berg, who does all of this work, is working on that. But I tell you something. When in one of my courses, I require my students at the end. I do teacher education. So at the end of the like module 10, they are required to go into Agora World, right? Build a little world. Just, I want them to upload 3 things. They can do whatever they want, like a grammar sheet or a picture or anything. And then they have to take a screenshot of themselves inside the world to show me that they've been in there, that they were able to onboard, that they were able to create their free, their free, you know, their free entry into this. Why am I doing this? Because our students will be working in the year 2050 and the year 2060. And not only am I teaching them how to navigate technology, but how to do it independently. Remember, we want our students to be able to be independent to be able to live, work, and collaborate in a world beyond 2024, right? This is coming to all of our students. If they like it or not, it's coming to all of us too. So we have to have some sense of the ability to be able to navigate and enter in these things, and at least to have a rudimentary knowledge on how to engage with it. Does this make sense?
Yes, of course. Any other questions or comments? By the way, I have another one. They can use their voice, right? You mentioned that they can record,
yes,
they can speak. They don't have to only use text and images, but they can also.
So the way that this works, the speaking is wonderful. When you have a group of students coming in, right? The way that the environment works is if you have grouped them into groups of 4 or 5 and you send them off in different directions, they will be able to speak to each other, and you can walk over. So there's like a distance built in. So group 1 will be talking at the art gallery, and group 2 might be talking at the beach.
Yeah, I think that's a very important part of this world and other virtual worlds, is the fact that they can speak to one another. It's not just text.
Right. No, it's not just text.
Which is important for language learners. I think that's where we come in.
Yes, that is where we come in. And I want to give a shout out to Ajay Kumar, because I have been a resource person for Amity University for the last 3 years. I have given a couple of presentations. So Ajay, hello, and greetings to Amity University. Anybody else?
Feel free to unmute. You can also use your video so we can have, we can see you and we can have a conversation about this. So it's not just questions, could be comments too. Your ideas maybe on how this could be used for your students. I know that Riza, as you were speaking, was thinking what she could do with her students. So maybe you have some ideas, Riza, of how you can use this at your university? I believe in the Philippines.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi there.
I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, there we see your university, I guess. Now we see you too.
Well, I'm still very new with the application, so I really have to explore it. I'm familiar with Half-Life, but Agora is something new for me. So I'm thinking of how if because our advanced grammar class is very focused on form, because it's a remedial subject for students who have a hard time using grammar in English, and so it has to be grammar based. So I'm still thinking what to do with it. So I don't really have much any ideas right now, Dr. Ellie.
Okay, so you could have, for example, you could have a grammar-based exhibit, okay, in one of the one of the galleries, right? And then if the grammar, let's say it is about direction, right? How to do this properly, grammatically properly. At the end, you could have 4 or 5 types of directions, and you group your students, right? And you tell them, now that we have gone through the grammar section, you are required, group 1, to follow the directions I have just given you. Group 2, you follow the directions, and they can now walk, let's say in Philadelphia downtown, and they have to find a marker, and then they can take a screenshot of that marker and come back to the original place. And now they've had to to talk to each other in their avatar group, right? They had to find the marker, they had to take the screenshot for which they have to speak to each other, and then they have to come back and show you that they actually found it, something like that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jasmin. I will consider that. Thank you so much.
You know, I think what's great here is the fact that we as teachers need to, you know, be 3D in our thinking. We can't think, you know, flat, you know, with only text in mind. We have to think in multimedia terms. So it gives us opportunities to really grow and consider, how can I use, I've got this environment, what do I do with it? And I think this is where we can connect and share ideas. So this is really useful. Thank you.
Well, I will tell you this. I have to grapple with these things myself. I don't come naturally to this technology. It takes me time. And then there are a lot of failures where I'm like, this is so frustrating. It's not working. Where's this thing? How do I upload it? Where's that folder where I've put all of my stuff in? Why doesn't it work? So there are three good things about that. One, we are in a learning mindset, in a growth mindset ourselves. We must be in a growth mindset in today's era, because we have exponential changes that far surpass anything that happened in the past. Exponential, right? Two, we are in our students' shoes, because if you and me and Nelly and Amapreet and Michelle and Nerman and Ajay, if we all have issues doing this, guess what? Our students will have issues too. So we get to think through these items. And three, we are preparing our students for a world that is in a trajectory of AI implementation and AI tools and metaverses, and it's going to be a lot about tech. And in order to be prepared for that, you don't pick the hardest thing to do. You pick things like this before you move on, right? Not everybody is a natural technology fish to swim in the big pool of all of these items. You know, for some of us, it takes longer. Like me, it takes a long time to do these things. And I'm doing it anyway, because I know if I don't, I'll be a dinosaur teaching to the Bronze Age. And I don't want to be a dinosaur teaching towards the Bronze Age. I want to be someone who brings current, contemporary, important new items, even if they, you know, even if they don't have longevity. So there are a lot of things that we used. I think Flipgrid went away, right, Nelly? I mean, there's
Yes,
certain items that
unfortunately, yes, it went away.
It went away, right? So I had a lot of stuff on Flipgrid, and I know many of my teacher candidates did too. And one of the new realities is we don't own any of this technology. It's not like you own a book or a CD, which you own this particular piece, right? You are part of a more, it's like almost like a streaming environment, right? Where you own it for a little bit of time, but you're not really an owner. Yes, the dinosaur in the Bronze Age. So, or the woolly mammoth. So, but what I'm saying is, if we want our students to be able to function in tomorrow's environment, we have to use today's technology, whatever that is.
And realize that it may not be here tomorrow. So be ready.
That's right. How can we effectively manage large classes in Agora World? So, I mean, I think that before we look at managing large classes, just having a class in there, having students use the URL and transport in, and then take a look around is going to be your first success story. But managing large classes is the same as managing a class that you are doing in your live seminar, or in your, maybe you're doing video teaching or Zoom teaching. So when I do Zoom courses, I have it's no different than being in a real life class. I have to think about how to group my students. And so I assign them breakout rooms ahead of time. I set those up. So let's say that you have a large class in Agora World, maybe you will need to think, how do you want to group students? What is it that you want them to do? And there will be a little bit of chaos, right? But where there is chaos, there is growth, because during chaos, especially in a world like this, which is very safe, a lot of good stuff can happen. I am, look, I want to go over there. So they run off so the first class, everybody is going to run off in different directions. Forget about forget about having like a straightforward lesson, because the moment that they're in there, they're going to look at this world, at the earth, and at all of the buildings, and they're going to start walking off. I can guarantee you that. And you know what? Good for them. They're like children. They want to walk off and they want to explore on their own. So I would make my first class as, I want you to be transporting in. I will be at the world and I want you to go and walk off and explore. That will be my very first thing, because this way I don't have to pretend that I'm trying to keep track. I'm going to let them go and then come back and report what they saw.
And I think there's room for reflections too. They learn a lot when they tell you, even the mess, especially the mess. I always tell them, if things go wrong, that's wonderful. It's a chance to reflect. So get them, sharing with you how they felt, what information they got, of course, but a lot about how they felt throughout the tour, throughout your lesson, which reminds me, I've just added a feedback form. If you could fill that in. Thank you to Nabiha, who has prepared it.
So
any other comments? Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, one more message. Great.
No, I thought maybe somebody had it. Or has been okay. Cheryl says the temporary status of our work has been a concept to accept, but I'm getting there. Okay, yes, we're all. And I like that you mentioned that, Jasmin, the fact that we're all facing all kinds of anxieties, maybe sometimes because of technology. It's not always 100% there. Things happen. And I always kind of compare it to life. Even with life, we don't have control. So why do we expect to have control, with technology? And Andrea says, I love the idea that the first time students join Agora, they should be able to explore it. They need to get used to it. Yeah, we all need to get used to environments. Thank you for that. Feel free to use your voice.
Yeah, you have to have you have to have Windows or Mac. This isn't, you can't use this on a phone, as far as I know. But there's a web-based app that works. Here's the long and short of it. Technology is not a great time saver to my experience, okay? Because the front load in terms to understand, to learn, and to feel comfortable using whatever new technology you pick, be it Flipgrid, Padlet, Agora World, Kahoot, Zoom, takes time to work through. 2, things change. You think that you know what to do. You don't know what you're doing, because tomorrow they might decide to push a new upgrade, and you open it up and you're like, that looked different yesterday. What happened? Just showing you that in this new world, nothing remains static. It's not a book that you open up and on page 223, which you bookmarked, is going to be that great quote that you love. It's not going to be like that in the future. And it's at times, especially for me, it's hard, because you are used to certain, environment, and you click on it and you now have figured out exactly where everything is, and then they do an upgrade even on your phone. You're like, what was that? So we're going to have to learn how to live with a certain amount of ambiguity, which for humans, for us, is very difficult. And our students will even have a greater sense of ambiguity, and they will need to reinvent themselves many different times. All right.
So true. So true. You mentioned an app on the phone for Agora. I looked for it. I couldn't find. Oh, you didn't mention it.
No, there's no app on the phone.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't work on a phone. It just
Yeah, it's just a website that needs a Windows or the Mac. It does not work on the phone. It doesn't have any particular app for this.
I couldn't find anything either.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one day, because things change for the good most of the time. So
because we have Zoom, Padlet, Kahoot, such apps are there to use. But if we talk about this Agora, it's not there.
Right.
No,
I mean,
that could be a problem. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
That could be a problem in many parts of the world. That's true. Where students don't have laptops, or definitely not computers, because they can't afford them, but they can afford phones, or they invest in their phones, their smartphones, rather than on a computer. This is happening around the world. What do you think of that, Jasmin?
Well, so so it's not firm yet, but it looks like I might be going to Burundi, where definitely these items, the issue of technology and how to use it in a resource poor country are very prevalent, right? So getting computers, one person to a computer doesn't exist. It's like 10 students to one computer. But it doesn't mean that you as educators shouldn't be familiar with this. Because regardless if your students have a computer or not, if you know about it and you can at least expose them to part of it, they will be so much better off, because the world is moving at such a rapid pace. You know, I am worried that even if we only demonstrate, at least they are aware of it, right?
Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. In schools, we do have projectors. We can use those in just to make the students aware about it.
Yes.
There are screens in the classrooms.
That's very good.
If the students do not have the personal computers, the laptops, so in the schools, the classrooms would be a best place to make them aware about it.
Yes. And you can demonstrate it. Oh, I like this. Look at spatial.
Yeah, special. Yeah, it's different. Their whole layout is more for gaming, but it's not for gaming, even though it can be used for gaming. And with special, you can create the same things as Agora, almost the same. It's not as simple. It's a little bit more complicated. But because there are assets, as I said, and you have to play around with the sizing and everything. But there is an app, and the app is absolutely amazing. I think I prefer to use it on my phone than on the desktop. So you could try that, Preet, with your students. And it also has voice. You know, they can use their audio, their phones, and they can speak into it. So
yeah, we could find a special app.
Yeah,
on the phone. Yeah.
Did you find it?
I found that.
Yeah, it's very fast. So there are lots of worlds. Agora is just one world, and thank you, Dr. Cowin, for sharing that with us. And as I said, it's a lot easier than special. So if you want something that is easy for teachers and students, I think that Agora would work really well if you on the desktop, of course. So thank you. Your final words, Jasmin?
So I encourage you all to just simply try success sometimes means that we explore new worlds like this. We fail, we get frustrated, and we try again. And one of the nice things about this is that it's in a safe space, right? You can fail as often as you want to. So got plenty of time to do it. And believe me, you know, today was particularly a difficult time for me in order to make this work. And I thought this never going to work, but then it worked anyway, because you make it work. And there is nothing wrong with saying, I don't know how to do that right now, but maybe tomorrow.
Very, very good point. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And thank you, everyone. You'll get your certificates. Jasmin, you'll get yours as well.
Okay, so now I'm gonna put my my email here. And so if you're ever interested, you want to reach out, let me know, and I'm always happy to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye.
And see you at our next.
Thank you.
And thank you to Nelly, who this is a labor of love. I hope that you all know. Without her, this wouldn't be happening. Bye-bye. Thank you, Nelly. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.